Let's jump right in. Imagine writing a screenplay. You're mapping out this distant, incredible, utopian future, and then you just stop and ask yourself, wait a second, could we actually build this? Well, welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're unpacking a framework that literally started as science fiction and is right now being reverse engineered into a real-world system for society. It's called the gathering process. So we are moving from a script about tomorrow right into the actual physical steps ordinary people can take today to weave a truly collaborative future.
You see, when the creators of The Gathering Process wrote their futuristic screenplay, they set it in the year 2149. But looking back from that imagined future to our contemporary times, they hit this massive wall, this huge question. What would it actually take to reach a utopian 2149? I mean, how on earth do we get from here to there? If you look at the news today, bridging that gap, it seems completely impossible. It feels like this massive, insurmountable leap. But, identifying that impossible gap, that was actually the very first step in trying to build a bridge right across it.
Now, we're not just talking about some generic sci-fi backdrop with flying cars and shiny buildings. This was a highly specific macro vision. We're talking about a world where Earth's resources are intelligently managed, a society with universal access to our basic needs, where absolutely everyone has what they need to thrive. No borders, total freedom to visit, explore, and live anywhere you'd like. It's this beautiful vision of humanity thriving without boundaries. But again, as a screenplay, it's really just words on a page, right? The actual magic happens when we ask, okay, how do we make it real?
Which brings us to the real turning point. How did this go from fiction to reality? Well, the creators stumbled across a manual by Rosa Zubizarreta Eta, and it's called From Conflict to Creative Collaboration, a user's guide to dynamic facilitation. Around the same time, they started diving deep into real-world stories of civic councils and this concept known as wise democracy. They were seeing instances where small groups of ordinary folks were successfully tackling massive, complex issues. And that just sparked a brand new, totally unanticipated mission. The aha moment hit them. They realized, hey, we don't just have to write about this utopian future, we could actually run an experiment to bring what we just imagined to life.
So what did this experiment actually evolve into? The core definition of the gathering process is simple, but honestly, it's pretty radical. It brings small groups of people together into specially facilitated conversations focused purely on what matters most to them. I mean, think about it for a second. If these small, super-focused gatherings started happening everywhere, what if they became completely ubiquitous? Suddenly, you have ordinary people actively engaged in co-creating their futures together. It takes the power out of the hands of the few, and it places it directly into the living rooms and community centers of the many.
But let's look at what actually happens inside one of these rooms. Because we've all been to those meetings, right? Where people just talk over each other, or absolutely nothing gets done. Well, the gathering process is designed to be the exact opposite. It's highly experiential. It's deeply participatory. Every single person's perspective is heard, respected, and physically charted out. And because of this profound level of respect and the dynamic facilitation, something really incredible happens. Outcomes and solutions organically emerge that literally nobody in the room had even envisioned before they walked in. It is collective intelligence in action.
Now, a gathering isn't just a one-and-done conversation. It's built to create upward momentum. After a session ends, participants have choices to really scale their impact. First, they might simply choose to attend another gathering, just to keep the conversation going. Or, step 2, they might feel empowered to host one themselves. Some folks dive even deeper and join the gathering facilitation team to actually learn how to lead these processes. But the real game changer is that final phase, going out to actually implement the solutions and project ideas that organically emerged from their session. That is where talk turns directly into tangible action.
And the impact definitely doesn't stay locked inside that original group of people. The gathering process is designed with a massive ripple effect in mind. All of these gathering projects can be listed publicly. So what does that mean? It means if you didn't attend a specific gathering but you see a project that really resonates with you online, you can still join in. You can support it or even replicate it in your own local community. It completely open sources the future. Anyone, anywhere, can link up with aligned efforts and really expand the movement's reach.
To really ground this in reality, we aren't just talking about abstract philosophical projects here. As these self-organizing groups form locally, they tackle highly tangible, universally relevant issues. We are talking about real, grassroots solutions for things like elder care, rethinking local transportation, innovating our energy systems, and completely redesigning food systems. These are the foundational pillars of our daily lives. By applying the gathering process to these areas, communities are quite literally building the infrastructure of that 2149 utopia, just one local food bank or solar co-op at a time.
Okay, but if this becomes ubiquitous, how on earth do you scale it without losing that human element? Well, enter technology. As gatherings multiply, an AI agent is engaged, but, and this is key, purely as a tool to list, cross-reference, and coordinate ideas. It acts as this incredible organizational tool to fuel human-driven, participatory digital democracy. The AI absolutely does not dictate the future, it simply helps the humans who are co-creating it stay organized and connected on a really massive scale.
And this brings us to a really vital distinction. The gathering process relies heavily on centralized support, but it strictly avoids centralized control. Meaning, they provide the tools, like that AI agent we just mentioned, so people can easily communicate and find one another. But there's no top-down dictator telling communities what to do. That strict avoidance of centralized control is what ensures that these project groups remain completely small, local, and self-organizing. It is kind of the ultimate scaling paradox, right? Giving people structure without giving them a boss.
To really visualize how all of this works, the source material uses a brilliant metaphor from nature, the mycelium network. Now, if you know anything about mushrooms, you know that right beneath the forest floor lies this vast, interconnected fungal web, and it shares nutrients and information between trees and plants. Over time, as gatherings multiply, this is exactly what happens to society. A vast network of locally implemented projects takes root. Individuals attend new gatherings, ideas continuously circulate, local groups learn from each other, they strengthen one another's endeavors, and they enrich the lives of more and more people organically.
As these projects multiply and form a larger social pattern of coordinated community action, it builds to this really beautiful idea, effectively joining a broader murmuration of change. Have you ever seen a murmuration of starlings? It's that awe-inspiring phenomenon where thousands of birds fly together in this synchronized, swooping, dynamic cloud. There's no lead bird shouting orders, right? They're just reacting to one another in perfect harmony. When people participate in gatherings and link up with other aligned efforts, they are becoming those birds. They're ordinary people moving together dynamically to create a breathtaking pattern of change.
Which brings us right back to you, right back to where we started. Will your local actions today become part of the murmuration that builds 2149? We started out by looking at a distant, impossible-seeming future, but the gathering process shows us that the road to a world without borders, with intelligently managed resources and universal access, it isn't built by politicians or billionaires. It's built by small groups of ordinary people sitting in rooms together, listening to what matters most, and then actually taking action. So the real question is, are you ready to join the gathering?